Welcome back, and today we are playing out the P-38L0, one of my favorite props in the game, mainly because it's so versatile and it actually gets an air spawn, meaning that you actually have some presence early game, no matter what plane you're facing. Now there are a couple of vehicles that will outclimb you, and that can be annoying at the start, but overall you will meet them co-elt, or you'll be above the entire lobby. It's maneuverable, it's fast, it climbs pretty well, and it has a decent amount of firepower. Whereas the main issue with this thing is actually going to be the instructor. You really want to use keyboard controls in this thing, as mouse aiming, especially with fine-tuning your shots, it's just not gonna pull fully, and it's going to leave a lot of performance on the table. Now yes, a lot of planes do this, but with the P-38s it's especially noticeable. And then we come to the second issue with the instructor, and that is the rudders. It's kind of annoying to aim, especially at low speeds. It doesn't really go exactly where you want it to, and it's a bit floppy because of this. The plane itself does exactly what you want until you switch on over to mouse, you don't use your keyboard anymore, and suddenly it feels like you're playing a different plane. And this is the main thing you need to get used to. But even with this, let's call it a drawback, it's still perfectly manageable, and it's still an amazing aircraft. And especially with the amount of 50 cals that you can spray them all over the place. You have 500 rounds per gun, and then you can of course switch over to the 20 mil when you want to get the kill shot. But overall I'm just spraying 50 cals all over the place, make people maneuver, get them slow, and once they are in a vulnerable position I will squeeze the trigger and just blow them straight out of the sky. The A&M2 hits extremely hard, as you expect from American 20 mils. You really never have to worry about getting too many hits, at least not in my experience. You go head on with the VB10. I mean, a VB10 is never going to be touching this thing, especially when we have the energy, so we just go straight up. And we use the first weapon of the P-38, and it's going to be the fowler flaps. I made a video on flap usage and where too much use of them can actually lose you the fight, even if you would outturn them without them. The fowler flaps are incredibly efficient, and they produce a metric load of lift. Now of course this doesn't mean you're gonna go unga bunga landing flaps every time you can, because it will still have these same drawbacks as you'll find on other flaps, but they're not as prominent. And with these, it makes the plane just so much better to fly, especially in a dogfight. Without flaps it honestly doesn't turn that amazingly, but with a little bit of flap usage, if you use them well, you can dogfight a lot of planes in the enemy lobby. Now of course an A6M or a Spitfire is going to be a little bit of a different story. We still have to be somewhat realistic, but you're also a P-38. And whereas with the P-38K, with the very strong engines, you can dogfight about everything. It's not as much the case with this one. However, you don't compress nearly as much when it comes to high speed. And that's the main strength of the P-38L. The P-38L has of course hydraulic control surfaces, so it's actually very nimble at high speed, and basically nothing comes close to it when it comes to aerobie at this battle rating. It's very easy for you to go extremely fast, dodge shots, and just pull in on your own. This thing doesn't really care about how fast you go, unless except of course you go so fast that you blow your wings off. But in terms of compressing and just locking up the entire airframe, it's really responsive, and it doesn't really matter if you're going super fast or super slow. This plane can do about everything you ask of it, as long as you of course know how to use your keyboard. Now let's take a look at a little bit of a longer and a more drawn out match. It's one of the games where really nothing goes right, and then in the end it actually does. Here we have a P-8 at high altitude and 3 fighters directly below us, and the fighters are not really going to be an issue. The Yak is going to be the main target here, definitely the most dangerous plane. With the I-185 and the P-63, I'm not really too worried, but I do want to just take a couple of shots at this P-8, just to make sure that he doesn't keep climbing and sits at 8 kilometers at the end of the game, and then I lose on ticket. So I like to just take a few shots at these guys at the very early stages. If I get a crit in, if I get some engine damage or whatever, I'm fine with it. I don't care if I get the kill or not. I just want to make sure that they are damaged to hinder their ability to climb to low Earth orbit. Yak 3 comes for us, and because we had so much energy, I'm not really too worried. The thing that also happens when you go for the bomber, it baits the enemy fighters into thinking that you are a newer player, someone that just goes for free kills, and this often makes them just a little bit more confident that even though they are in the worst position, they might be able to win. Here he tries to corkscrew me, and I'm actually abusing my flaps a little bit, but it's fine. I'm in a good position. It's a Yak 3P, so I really don't want to get in front of him. and then I notice that we go into a bit of a raid, and that is something that is just simply not sustainable, especially with the second yak that is coming in. At this altitude, however, I have the better engine performance, so I'm not really too worried. I like to sit at about 5 kilometers, perhaps even higher when I have to deal with Yaks, because I know that they can't really hang with me. In a raid, you still want to be very careful. It's going to take you a long while, and if the enemy has reinforcements, you are going to get picked off. Yak 3 dives out. Typhoon now goes for me together with the Yak 9. And the Typhoon is a plane that I really don't like fighting in this thing, other than, of course, high speed. But in order to go high speed, we need to drop a lot of altitude. And I'm not going to drop altitude below a Yak, because I am just going to get eaten up. At this altitude, I'm pretty confident I can deal with a Typhoon, especially with the altitude that I have on him. And then the unthinkable happens. We have another guy that is above us. Now luckily it's a Seafire. That's not the most dangerous plane in the game, but it still turns incredibly well, and it's going to be annoying to equalize. He has the energy here to dive on me, and if he does dive on me, I'm gonna have a little bit of a job on my hand in order to try and get above him again, or get him in a position where I can shoot him down. Now he is clearly interested. I'm just going to try and climb a little bit. I'm going to try to get as much altitude as possible, because we also have the other Yak 9 in the background that is trying to climb on my 6 and trying to get away from me. He's trying to stagger himself with his friendlies, and this makes it almost impossible for us to engage any of them. Because if I now go for the Yak, the Seafire and the Typhoon kill me. If I go for the Seafire, I'm probably going to get stalled out by the Seafire. If I don't outright die to him, the Typhoon will lick me up. And if I go for the Typhoon, the Seafire gets a very free kill. So here I'm just trying to stall for a little bit in order to get one of them to break off. And the Seafire does, as well as the Yak. And now the Typhoon is basically on his own. Now the Seafire hasn't broken off completely yet, but the maneuvers that he is doing is making it so that I'm actually equalizing the energy now. So the Seafire is giving it to me on a silver platter. I know that if I just dive into the Seafire right now, he can't touch me. I'm going a lot quicker than him. He is not going to be gaining energy over me at this altitude, at these kind of speeds. So all I just need to do is dodge the Seafire and focus the Typhoon. But then the Seafire does something that I didn't really expect. He just pitched straight into me. So instead of ignoring him, I want to actually just go straight up and kill him. But I can't, because the Typhoon is right there. But the Seafire just did such an extreme maneuver that he's now basically out of energy, so I don't really have to worry about him that much. We are still going about 500 speed. He's probably going about 300, 350-ish. It's a lot slower, and he won't have the IS to really do anything. Typhoon then decides to break off. So what do? We just commit to the Seafire. He breaks off the head-on, gives me a bit of a window. We get some hits in, we get an oil leak. We damage his right wing. He is going to be damaged, and he's going to be on the clock. If he tries to stay here for like 5 minutes, he's going to cook up his engine, meaning that he will have to RTB eventually, which is good for us. He's basically out of the picture. I can handle the Typhoon for now, and the Yak 9 dropped a little bit too much altitude and basically managed to waste all his energy. He's trying to shoot from 3.5 kilometers, not really going to work out, but that's fine, because it means that he is far enough away and is low enough to the point where I can just basically deal with the Typhoon without ever having to look at the Yak 9. So I turn into the Typhoon to get him a little bit closer, bait him into going steeper for me, because I want to clean this up as quickly as I can. And I definitely have the energy here. We are going 300 speed, or 300 IES. And I know that he can't really pull in from that angle, so I just wanted to get him directly underneath us, and then we can just pull straight in. Except he breaks off and he's gonna go straight. He's gonna try to build up some speed. And while I understand what he's doing, he's actually just giving me a lot of room to do whatever I want. And he's probably trying to bait me into a reversal, into a dogfight, so that the Yak 9 can help him. And even though it's only a Yak 9P, it's definitely gonna be a nuisance when I'm struggling with a Typhoon. A Typhoon is not a quick kill most of the time. But because he broke off when I'm at a much higher energy state, I can simply just pitch down on him and start catching him. And that's exactly what we do. And he kind of put himself in a pretty bad position, because now he's going low speed into a head-on with someone that's actually going about 600 kilometers an hour. I can merge with him. I can basically go straight up. And he knows this. He doesn't take it. He's trying to stall me. He's trying to waste my energy as the Yak 9 closes in and turns this into a 2v1. Which is the correct thing to do, but I think he should have dived a little bit extra just to pick up some more speed, get me even lower, make me fight the Yak 9 on equal grounds. And yes, I probably would have broken off and I would have put a little bit of space in between us and the Yak. It would be a lot more feasible to win that way, because right now he is not really gaining anything. I'm just closing in rapidly. He's flying so straight that even Twitter wouldn't cancel him because they would think it's rage bait. And I mean, look at it. He doesn't really react until I fire. And we set him on fire instantly. And he is dead. And that is all she wrote. Yak 9P in the meantime broke off. He left us alone. Because guess what? He thought he couldn't kill me. So instead of trying to help his teammate, he just dove to the deck and decided to just start ground pounding. And I get it, you're trying to get some free RP in, but it just doesn't help you in the long run. And now you're gonna end up losing the game because of it. Which actually nets you less RP in the long run. Now here we engage a Seafire, we see the P-63, and I made a bit of an error. I should have gone for the P-63 earlier, shouldn't have bothered with the Seafire, and I should have been a little bit more steep with my climb. Right now I'm wasting a lot of energy. I could have just kept it into a steeper climb, solidify my altitude position, and just make sure that no one can touch me. But in my back of my mind, I had that FOU, and I know that there's 3 guys in the middle of the map trying the ground pound that I also want to take care of. So I thought, well, I'll just kill the P-63. He's going to run away. He's going to be way too fast for me to deal with. And that's kind of exactly what he does. And I can now dive after him, but now I waste even more altitude. So at this point, I decide to cut my losses, and I'm actually just going to put it into a bit of a climb. He dives to the deck. He's going to leave me alone. And that's fine. This kind of nullifies the mistake that I made. But it's still going to be hella annoying. Because he is clearly showing signs of wanting to boom and zoom and not wanting the dogfight. And when you are in a 1v4, it's an extremely annoying player in the enemy team to have. Especially when the plane is actually quicker than yours. So we have the Yak 9 here. I expect him to pitch up because he was shooting from like 3 kilometers away. So I'm just going to try to bait him in. I'm going to turn in a little bit sooner here. Keep it horizontal. Just let him stall out. I have the energy to do whatever I want. And I'd rather just make sure that he actually dies. Instead of trying to go for the quick kill. And then not getting the kill. Because I need him to die right here. It's too free to pass up on. And I mean, there is the Seafire. I have the energy to get above him. The P-63 is relatively close. But for now, the 185 is gone, which is good. It's only a 2v1. The Seafire isn't going to be touching me anytime soon. So we just put it into a relatively steep climb. Try to get above him. And then try to run away. The issue is that the P-63 is flying in a straight line. He's going to build up speed. And he's just going to pitch up into me whenever he gets close. And the Seafire decides to get close to the P-63. He breaks off a little bit. Gives me some space. And I'm not entirely sure what his plan was. I thought he was going to regroup. But it looks like he's going to try to climb away from the P-63. He's going to give the P-63 basically the opportunity to lose the dogfight to me. Which is essentially what we are going to be doing. He gives me a bit too much space. And now I actually have some room to dogfight the P-63. And try to kill him. Now let's see if he actually makes a mistake. And if he doesn't, we will bleed so much energy out of him that it's still going to be worthwhile. So we pitch on over. He's going to have a very bad time at low speed. So we just make him pitch 90 degrees up. He's going to be spraying at us. His engine is essentially anemic at this point. And we just turn away from the Seafire. Now the P-63 is incredibly slow. He's literally stalling out. He's falling out of the air. And the Seafire is now trying to close the gap on us. And I'm going to try to climb away for a little bit here. To put a little bit of space in between me and the P-63. And then the P-63 decides to give me a little bit too much room. Which is, again, a massive mistake on their end. Because now I'm actually able to turn around. And I'm going to go for the Seafire. And if the Seafire decides to stick with me, I think I can win the dogfight here. We just dodged the head on. And I should have recommitted there, but I got kind of scared by the P-63 already spraying at me. And I know that I have the P-63 by the balls, but I misjudged the Seafire by a tiny amount. And he's now actually close enough to the point where I need to take evasive action and I need to reset the fight. But I'm also a lot quicker than them and I don't want to drop any more altitude. So we are going to start climbing slightly any minute here. We just want to make sure that I actually have enough distance and I don't get shot at from 1.2 kilometers away, because I know that those Hispanos are able to reach me that far. So we just put it into a shallow climb. He tries to spray me down from range. I'm not going to have any of it. And the P-63 decides to break off. he's gonna climb to the side and put some distance between him and the Seafire, which is exactly what he needs to do. If you bunch them up, if I manage to get enough energy to beat the Seafire, the P-63 is also dead. He's still trying to spray at me from 1.5 at this point. The P-63 is climbing to the side and he's really putting in some distance here. And I'm already looking at a match that I thought was basically unwinnable, because they are actually playing around each other's weaknesses and they're actually supporting each other's weaknesses. So I can't really do much here. I just need to get a little bit of altitude. I need to get away from the Seafire. But I do know that if I have enough room, I can dogfight a Seafire from this position and kill him in 1 to 2 turns after the merge. But the P-63 notices that there is too much room in between us and he starts pitching into me. And then he does the unthinkable. He has the perfect opportunity here to go for me. He starts diving, which is good, but he dives a little bit too much. He is now in a position where he starts wasting energy, which is good for us, and yes, he's a lot quicker. We didn't really dive that much, but he's now so much below us that I can simply merge with the Seafire. We merge. I keep looking at the P-63 because I'm expecting him to pitch straight up, but he's staying there way too long, and now he basically doesn't have the opportunity to pitch up anymore. I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to accomplish, but because of that, just as I said, 1 or 2 turns and we have the shot on the Seafire. He flies directly in front of us, we saw off his tail, and then we dive straight down towards him. Now there's a year 2 together with the P-63 here, the last 2 enemies, and I mean, I basically won at this point. The P-63 is not really going to be doing anything. We are going much quicker. We have more altitude and we don't compress nearly as much. And on top of it all off, at low speed, we completely rinse the P-63 because he doesn't have a functional engine. Now I decide to actually go for the year 2 first because I don't want to deal with him in a bit of a 2v1. So we take some shots on him. We just get a little bit of damage, but we don't really do that much. So instead of trying to stick with him, I'm of course going to go for the P-63. It's not worth it to get taken down by the gunner, or to lose so much energy that the P-63 starts boom and zooming me again. But we have much more energy here, so we merge into the same direction that they are flying in, and we turn it into a bit of a raid fight. I don't want this to go nose to nose where he might be able to pull in because he is so much slower. We turn it into a bit of a raid fight where I just have so much more energy than him that he can really not touch me whatsoever. I noticed the Euro 2. I'm not particularly scared of him, but I do want to take notice. But the P-63 dies right here. We saw his tail off clean as well. And then I noticed that I have about 90 seconds of fuel left. The Euro 2 only has weak armament in the nose, and if I have to go from gunner positions, then well, I'm basically looking at the same armament. So I'm just gonna go head on. We try to dive under him, make his roll awkward, offset his gun a little bit, we pull straight in, aim into his cockpit and send him to the Shadow Realm. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.